Hello, everyone, and welcome into the final regular season episode of Inside Smoky Mountain Conference, presented by Team FYN Sports. Jake West, joined by Brandon Stevens. We are entering into conference championship week for the Smoky Mountain Conference. Murphy plays Swain in Bryson City. Swain can knock off Murphy, and we will have a three-way tie: Robbinsville, Swain, and Murphy for the Smoky Mountain Conference title. If Murphy wins, they win it outright. We've also got Robbinsville back from their bye week. They travel to Cherokee, and we've got Hayesville and Andrews, and then we will head into the playoffs. I think Sunday they are going to do the official playoff brackets, but looks like we're going to have from my calculations, we'll talk about it real quick, could get a second round matchup between Swain and Hayesville and Murphy and Cherokee if Hayesville and Cherokee are able to win their first round games. It looks like Hayesville's in line for a 12 seed. Cherokee's in line for an 18 seed. Murphy is fighting for the number one overall seed this weekend against Swain County. Swain is going to have a top 5 seed. I think no matter what happens, both Murphy and Swain will have top 5 seeds. Starmount, Allegheny, and East Wilkes are going to be also in there for the top 5 seeds. But on the 1A side, Robbinsville looks like, barring anything drastic this weekend, they're going to have the number one overall seed, first round bye. Andrews looks like they're in line for a 9 seed in the 1A playoffs. Rosman looks like a 6 seed, and then you've got, Thomas Jefferson Classical, Winston-Salem Prep, South Davidson, some of these other lesser-known, smaller schools, but in that 1A playoff. So it's going to be a fun weekend, especially knowing that playoff seeds are on the line. Conference championships are on the line, and it's going to be football weather on Halloween night. That's for sure.
I can see potentially Lucas Ford, Joseph Watson, and Sherman Holt probably crashing the North Carolina High School Athletic Association or Max Prep's page, refreshing to see whether they're going to, or if they're going to get a bye week. Imagine with all three of those teams in their respective 2A, 1A classifications that if, winning, so if Murphy wins, there's probably a bye week. They're probably not going to play. Swain could have that even losing to Murphy, but switch it around. And that makes it very interesting. Probably there's, a bye week definitely for Robbinsville. And there's even possibilities if they, and there's, I'm gonna step out on a limb. Obviously every coach is going to tell you we play them one game at a time, but Robbinsville is postured very well to make a good run for the state championship in the 1A bracket, and
sure.
So I think. Robbinsville fans, get ready to play lots of games. Murphy and Swain fans, get ready to play lots of games going deep into the playoffs. I think so. There's possibilities of playing some more good home games. Murphy probably winning. They could probably have a lot of home games. And what is it? Six games in the playoffs. Is that right?
Yes.
So number 6 is the championship game. And so really, if you're probably one of those 3 teams, you're looking at, 4 games to get to the state championship game, probably having a bye week next week. So give or take. Now, not be surprised if, they pair us up with in those 3 games or those 3 classifications or those 3 teams pair us up with a game next week. But regardless, I think they're ready to go. The conference season is is rolling past, and now the big one, the dramatic game, which has historically been played the last game of the season until some conference changes, but it was the Murphy Swain game at the end of the season. And we'll talk about that in just a few moments. But I did get one comment from Coach Joseph Watson. I said, what about this coming week? That Swain game that has, it's traditionally been hard hitting, hard fought football game. And it was also traditionally, my last words in that question were traditionally that game has been played at the end of the season. And his only comment says, and that's the way it should be. So, yeah, we're ready but we got to get through this last set of games, and I'm ready to talk some football.
Yeah, let's start. Robbinsville was on a bye last week. They are going to have Cherokee on the road this week. Cherokee was on the road last week against Andrews. They won that game 47-0. Traditionally, we've seen them in the past few years become more of a spread team, throw the ball around a lot. They didn't have to do that much against Andrews. They just handed the ball to their junior back, Kingston Welch, and he ran all over the field. 11 carries, 162 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jonathan Saylor also had 3 touchdowns on the ground. There was a lot of people predicting Cherokee was going to have, a pretty good year, maybe looking at 7-3 or something like that. They sit at 3-6 heading into this game against Robbinsville. Robbinsville coming off of a bye. The game is in Cherokee. How do you see this one playing out? The Massey ratings prediction is Robbinsville 42, Cherokee 14.
I had them marked that this is probably going to be a Robbinsville game. Now that leading up to that, I'll just go ahead and give you my prediction, which was 35-14 Robbinsville. I was just kind of looking at the trends of how, I didn't just pick that number out of the air, just looking at how Cherokee has made its points and come along. It's been really a mix-up of some games you do well passing, some games you do well rushing. And if you've got Jonathan Saylor, or Dawson Panther in the backfield, Panthers got 1,000 yards or so, or near 1,000 yards, 50% passing. And then, but Saylor, not the biggest passing guy, but I think the efficiency comes in with Saylor, either calling his own number or running the ball and letting Dawson Panther hadn't seen too much. I'd like to see more of him. I think he's a good quarterback, but you can't deny Jonathan Saylor. So the rushing game, Kingston Welch has some good moments. 6 yards per carry. Jevin Garcia is the man to hit for the receptions if you're not going to run it. Jula, go ahead. Sorry.
One thing, I'm not sure if Panthers, banged up, if he's not starting at quarterback because of an injury or something like that, but he was definitely on pace for 1,500 yards through the air. I mean, he, like you said, he hasn't played the past maybe 3 weeks, and he already is like 970 yards or something like that passing. He was lighting it up through the air, so I'm not sure if an injury is what's got him out of that position, or if they just like what they have with the option stuff with Saylor. But definitely Panthers a really good passer.
Well, you're absolutely 150% correct. I mean, I would have him really sitting in the pocket, throwing the passes or handing it off, and I would run the devil out of Jonathan Saylor because he and Kingston Welch are the ones that, of course, otherwise, you might throw a pass to Jula Hallencrane. I just like saying that name. I think it's Zula, which means tobacco. or that's the way I've interpreted it. But and then Jonathan Saylor. So you got really a good diversity to switch it up and move it around to finding out where you're moving the ball well. And Jake, where do you move the ball well against Robbinsville? Because I think they've got really a good defense.
They do, yeah.
I mean, if you can see a little more, I like the work we saw out of Kellen Inslee and a few others that are on the front line. Trying to dig back just a little bit while I'm stumbling about. The overall tackles was his name, Rylan Waldrop. Gibby, some of these others, they get on Isaac Collins, Kellen Inslee, your top four tacklers. But just getting out there, getting a few sacks, some able to come out and stop somebody with an interception. I think that it's you better be ready with just all barrels loaded and ready to fire against Robbinsville. This is going to be a little dramatic too. You've got Cherokee citizens, and then you've got the Snowbird citizens, and so there's that tribal rivalry. So I think you're going to see a packed house for this football game. But on the other hand, if you're Robbinsville, stay away from Charlie Swaney and Jonathan Saylor. They've been the playmakers. Jonathan Saylor is like the whole utility guy that he's a quarterback, he's the running back, he's good for defense all the way through. So really, he earns his paycheck playing for Cherokee.
Yeah.
On the other side, I'm still like Isaac Collins. Continues to run the ball well. Kazak Teske, he doesn't have, a tremendous amount of yards. But what I like about him, it's very efficient when given the ball. Mostly it goes to Isaac Collins, but when given the ball, he makes things happen. He's the touchdown leader as far as rushing goes. Cameron Allison, always a good target. So, Luke Lovin, he's making things happen back there, whether it's whether he's running, passing, or playing some sort of option. I don't know necessarily that they're classical RPO team, but in that sense, if you're Cherokee, watch for so many different options that you've got. But Isaac Collins, I have all eyes on him, and Kazak Teske. But then there's that threat of hitting Cameron Allison or even Tucker Jones.
Yeah, Robbinsville's very solid. I mean, they're getting better every single week. They're a lot better football team than people were giving them credit for when the year started. What'd you say, 35-14? I think more 35-7 if Cherokee does get on the board, just because of how strong Robbinsville's defense is. But also, Cherokee could get some late scores if Robbinsville is looking towards those 1A playoffs and licking their chops, which they should be if they start setting some guys in the second half. But Robbinsville comes out and does what they want to do with the football and punches you in the mouth, then I think they should be in control of this football game from start to finish. But Cherokee looked good last week against Andrews. Andrews will take on Hayesville. Murphy came out firing against Hayesville. Hayesville without their number one running back and one of the top backs in Western North Carolina, in Trey Graves, and Murphy took advantage of that, jumped out early and never looked back. But Hayesville and Andrews, Massey rating says Yellow Jackets 42, Wildcats 7.
I was kind of close on that one as far as going to the computator. I was saying Hayesville 35-7 in this football game. I simply think probably we'll get to or they could actually get to a point of rolling clock if they do. But Hayesville had a, like you said, good win over Cherokee 37-28, but they lost some to to the big dogs there, Murphy and Swain. A little bit earlier, shutout by Swain, and then Murphy had him in rolling clock situation. But again, this is a mixed bag because obviously you know that Trey Graves, he's going to have a target on him. With over 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns on the season, you're going to have to watch that rushing guy. But Ben Bethel, a couple of others, I would not neglect the pass as they come up, but been a little tougher road to come through with Rosman. Lost to Cherokee, lost to Murphy, both shut out 47-0, 59-0, and then they've had their one win this season over Rosman, and I think some people in that game were probably favoring the Rosman Tigers to beat Andrews in this game, but didn't work that way. Brady McClellan and Kelby Waldrop did. Kelby Waldrop is diverse in that he runs well and he's able to catch pass and but not a lot of passing. So this is going to be definitely a ground game, but against Hazel, still you're going to run into a brick wall if you try to run it across the A-B gaps. So this one's going to be interesting, but still I think Hazel's got the upper hand and will move through.
Yeah, Andrews has some very good athletes, like you mentioned. Kelby Waldrop and Logan Schuler are both guys in my eyes that are all conference athletes.
Exactly,
because of what they were able to do. Andrews, they don't have the depth. They've been beat and banged up all season, putting out different guys out there, guys that have never played football before, but they show a lot of heart. They play with a lot of heart. I think they're a well-coached football team, but I do think Chad McClure's Jackets come away with this one and go into the playoffs. Look, I think they will get a home game, depending on how some things shake out, but let's shift gears, talk about Murphy and Swain. Smoky Mountain Conference Championship on the line for both these teams. Murphy can have it outright. Swain can go in a three-way tie with Murphy and Robbinsville. I was told last night if Swain does win this game that it will go off of conference champion will be crowned based off of final RPI. So I have no clue. I'm not that good at math to be able to figure out who that would go to if Swain were to win this game. But Massey rating says Murphy 30, Swain 14. And I do know that Swain is coming into this game in Bryson City pretty banged up. But Coach Holt always finds a way to plug and play guys where he needs them to be. And Swain's always fired up to play Murphy, especially in Bryson City, especially cold, maybe rainy. It does have a big game feel to it for both these teams.
Well, one comment that you hear consistently, whether you go back to the seniors that left in 24 or the seniors that left at 23 or on back into history to when these two teams played, but Murphy players will always say, I hate playing in Bryson City. There's something strange about that field. And of course, in the old field that they had on Schoolhouse Hill, that was nothing but a pit to go get your tail beat. It's tough. I mean, no joke. But I looked it up, did a little bit of history work. If I know there's going to be somebody who will differ with the math and the calculations. 82nd meeting between these two teams, and the series is led by one game, 40-39 by Murphy, which when they won last year and able to that helped push them along into the conference championship. But last year Murphy won 34-14. Not so good of a year in the prior year in 23. Swain just beat the devil out of Murphy at 37-13. But
that was a cold. Sorry, that was a cold rainy game in Bryson City, and that's what Swain wants.
Miserable.
Yeah.
And but now back behind that, 22, 21, 20, 19, and 18 have all been Murphy football games. And quite handily in some cases. 19 was probably the closest 15-14 win for Murphy. But just for the last couple of years, this has been a Murphy football game, whether you played in Bryson City or whether you played in Murphy. The keys here, I think, there's so many different options. Next man up. Murphy has so much diversity with Cameron Clem, then Brody McFadden, then Blake Davis. Blake's a little shaken up, but he's back. And, just to wonder if he's at 100%. This week, Murphy hasn't had many opportunities to practice outside. They've been practicing in the gym. It's different, even though, you can get a good practice in. And, of course, Swain County has that nice indoor practice facility.
They can get a good practice in for sure.
Or whatever, however it rolls. So maybe some cadence might be off and a little bit with Murphy, but I don't think so. With either the pass or the run, the rush for Murphy is either or. Brady Grant still doing well throwing the ball. Ryan Payne, and the one person that I'm impressed with. He broke a finger at the AC Reynolds game, but Grayson Hall is another one that probably not a lot of people. You think like Ryan Payne with the passing game, but Grayson Hall, when playing last couple of games, he's reached out there and really got some hard to get passes, and just made things happen. And he's while there are a couple little errors he's made earlier in the season, he's definitely playing the ball well and with one hand down, so to speak. So it's that's where I think the power of Murphy and the line still continues to be impeccable. Jay Anthony, Brody, Landon, several others, Jude Pinkerton. This is a tough line to get through, and you're going to have to see some bigger people like I think Drew Skaggs for the Swain County Maroon Devils, one of the biggest guys out there. I think he's about almost 6.5 feet tall and 265 pounds. A big guy that he's going to have to open up that big gap really well. And Aiden Smiley, who might be banged up just a little bit and maybe questionable for the game. That's going to be big for the Swain County Maroon Devils with their defense. But those two guys, when Drew Skaggs has committed to Wofford, I think everybody knows that by now. But run Caden Sawyer, run your own rut through the gap. Otherwise, passing game has been to John Stevenson or Corey Stillwell. And again, back and forth, Swain, has had its rushing and passing. It was a passing game against Hayesville, almost 200 yards passing, but then 400 yards against Cherokee, and then come back to Rosman. And really, you open it up, and the big blast from Swain was in the passing game. But this week, with some questionable people being in and out, some of the superstars for Swain County may not be there for this game. I think really Drew Cody may air this one out. So I would, if I were Murphy's defense, I'd be looking for the pass, and I would be set and ready to do some coverage to keep the pass contained. Otherwise, you're going to just be right on the edge or stack over a bit over Drew Skaggs, because that's where the hole is going to open up. That's not to say Josh Stamper or Trenton Jones. Trenton Jones actually is for Swain County's doing really well. I'm impressed with his play and work. Aiden Smiley, center. So yeah, there's possibilities to run, but I think in this situation, spread some folks out, and you might even see a single setback with Andrew Cody in the backfield. He's been one of the during in the Cherokee game. He was Mr. Everything. He was, in special teams. He was in on solo tackles and defense, and obviously he was making the touchdowns. Really, in the beginning, it was number 16, number 16, number 16 in the touchdown column. So in that, no, I think you're right. Swain County might be a little banged up this week, and some of the familiar faces may not be in those points. That would give a little more weight to Murphy taking this football game. And but again, just are you ready? And just out with Murphy football team this past week, and I saw a very serious, very well postured team to make the trip to Bryson City, go through the gorge, and do well. Question is Swain going to be healthy enough to be a big factor in this game? That's probably one of the bigger reasons that I say Murphy 35-21 in my view.
Yeah, I think if you would ask me 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago about this game, my opinion would be a lot different. But with all the injuries that Swain has, I do think Murphy's going to be able to win this game. I do think there is an aura of just that surrounds playing at Memorial Stadium in Bryson City. Just it's a weird place to play. Weird things happen over there. You mentioned that 2019 game. That was 15-14. Coach Gentry broke the record there because they were lined up to kick the extra point to tie it up, and then Swain jumped off sides, and they decided to go for two, and they end up getting it, and that's the difference maker in the game. I mean, there's things that happen like that every year, it seems. And then, like you said, 2 years ago in the rain when Swain just ran all over Murphy. Just weird things happen. But I do think this Murphy's in a good position here to win this game, win the conference for the second year in a row. I think Swain is going to take to the air in this one. I think that means Jude Pinkerton's going to have to I look for Jude to be a difference maker in this game, especially on the dropbacks that Swain takes. I think he rushes the quarterback really well. I think we've seen Cannon Brazil, we've seen Jay Anthony and Brody Orton, and these guys have some big, gaudy numbered games. I think it's Jude Pinkerton's time. Put his head down and go after the football. And I think if he is able to do that, then I think we do see a Murphy victory here. I don't know if there's a ton of points scored, maybe 28-14, something like that in favor of Murphy, 28-21. I do think it's going to be closer just because, it's Murphy versus Swain. They're playing in Bryson City. But the injury thing, it wouldn't surprise me if Murphy was able to kind of spread this out a little bit more. But, weird things happen over there. And
they do, and I think just in the blink of an eye, the thing that you have to be relatively impressed with Swain County is their efficiency. Some players don't have like all the big numbers, like 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards pass reception or passing and that sort of thing. But the big thing here is that once they get into the right spot, they take off and they're very efficient, or they get really good field position against their opponents. Looking back the last couple of opponents like Hayesville, Cherokee, seldom sometimes it's where Swain is having to start back at the 20-yard line or the 18-yard line or the 15-yard line back in their own territory. They're almost at midfield and relatively short distances, but that's good play from Swain County. really thinking about that, just good efficiency. Also, on the same side with Murphy and the last few opponents that they've had, I think in at least 3 games in the first half, Murphy didn't have a first down. And somebody says, "Gosh, that's bad." I said, "No, wait a minute. They didn't need a first down. They've hit the end zone on one play, or they've uh, they had a punt return or a kickoff return to go back into the end zone. One that a danger is kicking right to Ryan Payne
Yeah.
in that situation. And so I think that with the way that this is, the efficiency on both sides with Murphy. I could see Coach Watson maybe mixing it up a little bit, uh, ground run, or but I think probably just to test the waters, watch for a good pass coming up early on. But no, the big key here, Jake, is all right. Everybody's got the butterflies. This is a reunion to going back to that really good dramatic last game of the season, Murphy Swain, and people telling all the jokes about what's the difference between heaven and hell, and it's 48 miles, whatever the distance is there. And but to cut through all that, I think if you can come out and not just score first, but have the big plays, have that, and set the confidence. And I think whoever has that will definitely have the ball bouncing in their direction. Of course, Murphy has always, so if you win the toss, you defer to the second half. So if that comes about, then you got to play really stellar defense, and and then once you get on offense, to quote a contemporary, just run it down their throat.
All right, that's gonna do it this week. We'll be back next week. We'll have all the playoff brackets and stuff like that on Facebook, and game recaps, things like that. Brandon, anything else?
No, it's of course it's going to be a little wet and slippery, but go enjoy some football on this Friday night, because it becomes, do it or go home in the coming weeks. And I hope everybody in the Smoky Mountain Conference has quite a few postseason games to play, and has chance to celebrate a few victories, maybe bring home a 1A or a 2A banner. From this point on, it's you go back to cheering for everybody in the Smoky Mountain Conference, but it's really beginning to be really good out there. So good luck, everybody.
All right, thank you. We'll be back next week.